Hello. Hope you're doing well tonight. Before we begin, get comfortable, turn off the lights, put in one earbud, and relax. If you enjoy scary stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next one. He swears every word of this is true. This story was sent to me by a guy named Derek, who used to work the overnight shift at a small-town radio station in Kansas. Let's hear his story in his own voice. People think working the graveyard shift at a radio station is peaceful. Just me, my voice, and the static. But something changed about a year ago, and I haven't told anyone until now. It started on a Monday night, 2:13 a.m. I remember because I was about to cue up a jazz track when the studio phone rang. That wasn't unusual. We got weirdos and insomniacs calling in all the time. But when I picked it up, there was nothing, just static. "Hello?" I said. "You're on with 95.3 The Echo." Still static. Then a whisper. "I hear you." I frowned. "Okay, very funny," I said, thinking it was a prank. "If you've got a request, spit it out." But the line went dead. I didn't think much of it. Just another late-night crank. But the next night, same thing. 2:13 a.m. Phone rings. I answer. Static. And then, clearer this time. "I'm behind you." I spun around so fast, I nearly knocked over my mic stand. But the booth was empty. Just me, the mixer, and that awful buzzing hum from the old light overhead. I didn't sleep when I got home. Just stared at the ceiling, heart pounding. The third night, I didn't want to answer, but the phone rang. 2:13 a.m. This time I let it ring twice before I picked up. The whisper was louder now, not quite yelling, just closer. "You don't remember me," it said. "Who is this?" I snapped. "Seriously, cut it out." Then something clicked. The phone wasn't even plugged in. I stared at the jack, completely unplugged from the wall, but I was still holding it, still hearing static, still hearing breathing on the other end. I dropped the receiver. My show ended at 5 a.m. I left before the sun came up, for once, shaking the whole way home. That night, I unplugged every phone in my house, left the radio off, tried to sleep. At exactly 2:13 a.m., my cell phone rang. Unknown caller. I let it ring. It rang 12 times before stopping. Then my radio turned on by itself. My voice, my show, was playing. But I was saying things I'd never said. But I wasn't speaking. It was me. "My name is Derek, and I can't stop him." Then laughter. Low, slow, and broken, like it came through a damaged speaker. I yanked the plug from the wall. Dead silence. The next day I called in sick. When I came back the night after, something was different in the booth. The glass between the DJ booth and the mixing room, it had a handprint, smudged from the inside. Except I was alone. No one else had access. I wiped it down. Tried to convince myself it was my own. Maybe I leaned on it. 2:13 a.m. No phone call this time. Just the lights dimming. The audio monitors picked up a signal, but I wasn't playing anything. Just static, then in the headphones. "I like your voice." I want it. I ripped the cans off my head. Ran out of that studio like hell was behind me. I didn't go back the next night, or the next. They fired me by the end of the week. When I hear a commercial, sometimes buried in the background, I hear static. I didn't even care, because the voice never left. Even now, when I turn on the TV, then a whisper, right behind my ear. "You never turn me off." And I don't know if it's in my head, or if someone's still listening. End of story 1. This one came from a woman named Rachel, and she told it like it happened just last winter. She'd just moved into a small, older apartment building in Detroit. Nothing fancy. Just 5 floors, quiet neighbors, and an elevator that never quite sounded right. I moved in during December. It was freezing that week, and all I really cared about was finding a place close enough to my new job that I wouldn't have to drive through ice every day. The building was old, built in the 60s, I think, and it creaked like a haunted boat. My apartment was on the 4th floor, and I got used to the weird sounds quickly. Pipes groaning, walls popping, no big deal. But the elevator? That thing always made me feel uneasy. It worked, sure, but barely. Every time I stepped inside, it gave off this low grinding sound, like the cables were tired and could snap at any second. Still, I took it, because 4 flights of stairs in winter? No thanks. It wasn't long before I noticed something strange. A few times when I got in and pressed 4, the button for 6 would light up too. I figured I must have bumped it, except there was no 6th floor. The building only had 5. I even double-checked with the landlord, and he just kind of shrugged and said, probably just a wiring glitch. That thing's ancient. I let it go. Until one night, and I swear this happened exactly like I'm about to tell you. I came home around 1:30 a.m. after a late shift. I was half asleep and freezing. I hit the elevator button, stepped in, and pushed 4. They just kind of hummed there for a bit, like the machine couldn't make up its mind. The doors closed like normal. But then the whole thing gave this weird jolt, like it dropped a couple inches. The lights flickered, just for a second, and when they came back on, the 6 button was glowing. But this time, I knew I hadn't touched it. The ceiling was missing tiles. Wires hung down like veins. The elevator started rising, but really slowly, slower than usual. And when it stopped, the doors didn't open right away, watching me. Then they opened. I expected to see the hallway on the 4th floor. Familiar carpet, my neighbor's door, the weird plant someone always left in the corner. But instead, I saw this hallway. One I'd never seen before. It looked unfinished. The walls were bare, no paint, just concrete and old wood beams. There were no doors, no numbers. Just a long, cold corridor stretching out in front of me. And at the very end of it was someone. I couldn't make out their face. They were too far away. Just a silhouette standing perfectly still. I didn't move. My whole body locked up. And then something kicked in. Adrenaline, maybe. And I slammed the door close button so hard my finger hurt. The door shut. And the elevator dropped back down to 4 like nothing had happened. I ran to my apartment, slammed the door, and sat on my bed with all the lights on until the sun came up. I told myself maybe it was a dream. Maybe I dozed off in the elevator. But 2 nights later, it happened again. This time, I wasn't alone. A guy from the 5th floor, Marcus, walked in with me. We nodded, barely knew each other. He hit 5, I hit 4. The elevator started, and again it chirped. Lights flickered, and the 6 lit up on its own. The figure wasn't at the end. Marcus looked at me and said, "Did you hit 6? I just shook my head. There is no 6. He looked at the panel. There's no button for it. Then the elevator stopped. No sound. Just vanished. The doors opened to the same hallway. Only this time, it was halfway down. Closer. Marcus stepped back and whispered, "What is that?" I don't know what made me look again. Maybe hope that it was just a trick of the light. But when I glanced up, the figure was gone. No footsteps. Until the elevator lights flickered again. And suddenly, the figure was right outside the doors. Didn't even give notice. No face. Just that horrible blank shape. And a hand, pale, with long fingers, slowly reaching for the doorway. Marcus slammed the panel with his whole hand. The doors closed just in time. We rode down in total silence. I don't even think we breathed until we were on the first floor. He moved out the next morning. I stayed. I don't know why. But now, every night at 2:06 a.m., I get a phone call. No name, no number, just static on the other end. Sometimes I let it ring. Sometimes I pick up, and all I hear is the sound of an elevator ding, followed by footsteps on concrete. This story was sent in by a guy named Jordan, and he swears it really happened to him during the year he was living alone in a quiet house just outside of Denver. According to him, it all started with something simple. A moment in front of the bathroom mirror that didn't feel right. And from there, things spiraled into something far more disturbing than he could ever have imagined. Here's how Jordan told it. I don't know if anyone else ever experiences this, but sometimes when you're standing in front of a mirror, brushing your teeth, fixing your hair, whatever, you catch your own reflection, doing something that just doesn't feel quite in sync with you. Maybe it's a blink that's a fraction too early, or maybe you smile, then for just a second, it feels like the person looking back at you is smiling. And I'd look up and swear my reflection blinked before I did. Or it would hold eye contact with me a little too long after I turned away, brushing my teeth while staring at the floor, but it kept nagging at me, the feeling that something was watching from behind the glass, not from inside my house, but from inside the mirror. And as I dragged the razor down, I caught something that made me freeze, and I stopped dead. My reflection, it didn't move. For the briefest second, I saw myself standing completely still in the glass while I was still moving in real life. And then, just like that, the reflection caught up as if there had been a delay, like a bad video stream buffering behind reality. I stumbled back, heart pounding, knocking over the toothbrush holder, and just stared into the mirror, waiting for it to happen again, like it had been watching me even when I wasn't looking. But everything looked normal, perfectly in sync, like it was trying to mimic something it had never really seen before. I backed out of the room, slammed the door, and I swear I felt the mirror vibrating through the wood like something inside was laughing. Then I stepped out of the room and shut the door behind me. I waited in silence, 5 full minutes, heart pounding the whole time. When I finally picked up the phone and played the recording back, I saw nothing unusual for the first few minutes. But at exactly 3:14 into the video, my blood ran cold. I told myself I was imagining it, blamed it on being tired or staring at screens all day, and honestly, I wanted to believe that's all it was. I used the downstairs sink, avoided every mirror in the house, and kept telling myself it was a trick of the light or some kind of digital glitch. But deep down, I knew better. A little too much. It's subtle, barely noticeable, but enough to give you this cold ripple down your spine that you can't explain away. That's how it started for me. But I couldn't stop thinking about it, and that's when I did something I now wish I hadn't. It was just little stuff at first. I'd be brushing my teeth after a long shift, usually around midnight. But then the weirdness started getting bolder. One night while shaving, I leaned in closer to the mirror, just concentrating on getting a clean line under my jaw. That moment haunted me for days. I tried to ignore it, avoided looking in mirrors as much as I could, washing my face with my eyes closed. Then slowly, the reflection tilted its head, raised one hand, and pressed it to the glass, like it was trying to feel its way out. And then it turned and walked away, disappearing to the left side of the mirror, into a space that didn't exist in the real room. Then one night, I slipped up. I'd had a long day, wasn't thinking clearly, and when I walked into the bathroom and flipped the light switch, I looked up before I remembered not to. The reflection was already looking at me. Not like how a normal reflection follows your movement. This thing was staring straight at me the second the lights came on, like it had been waiting. And the worst part? It was smiling. Not a normal smile. Not mine. It was too wide, too still. The next morning, everything looked normal again. The mirror showed me exactly what I expected. My face, moving when I moved, blinking when I blinked. I decided to film it. That night, I propped my phone on the bathroom sink and hit record. The mirror, the reflection, showed me standing in the bathroom. I wasn't in there, but on the video, I was staring straight into the mirror, completely still. I dropped the phone. For 2 days, I didn't even go near the bathroom. And on the third night, it came back. I was lying in bed when I heard the sound, a soft, deliberate tapping coming from the bathroom, like fingers on glass. I didn't want to look, but something made me stand up, heart pounding, feet like bricks, and I slowly walked down the hallway toward the closed bathroom door. The tapping continued. I reached for the handle, opened the door slowly, and there it was, the mirror, uncovered. But it wasn't reflecting anything. It was just dark. A deep, impenetrable black, like a window into somewhere else entirely. And from within that darkness, I saw movement. A shape. Stepping forward. Then my face. My exact face, same eyes, same haircut, but it wasn't me. It smiled, raised one hand, and tapped the glass twice. And then I heard its voice. Not with my ears, in my head. It said, "You shouldn't have left me." This story was sent to me by a guy named Daniel, who used to work overnight shifts at a gas station on the edge of a highway just outside Rawlins, Wyoming. According to him, this happened during a cold autumn weekend when traffic was dead and the quiet turned into something far more unnerving than he could have ever imagined. Let's listen to Daniel's story, told in his own words. I don't mind night shifts. Most people can't stand them, but for me, they've always felt easier. You don't have to fake smiles. There's no line of people complaining about gas prices or hot dogs. It's just you, the coffee machine, and the hum of the freezer lights. This station was remote, like middle of nowhere remote. You take Route 287 out of town, drive for about 15 minutes past nothing but dry plains and broken fences, and there it is, the only light for miles. The shifts were long, boring, and quiet. Usually, I'd get maybe 1 or 2 customers all night, mostly truckers who didn't talk much. That particular night started off normal. I brought a thermos of black coffee, a couple of those microwave burritos, and a horror podcast to kill time. The air was cold, not freezing, but sharp, and the silence outside was thick enough to make the fluorescent lights buzz louder than usual. It was around 2:10 a.m. when I noticed something strange. I was sitting behind the counter, half asleep, when I glanced up at the security monitor and saw a car pulling in. Just a single black sedan, clean, no license plate on the front, which wasn't that weird out here. But what threw me off was the time. Nobody, and I mean nobody, comes in that late unless they're lost or desperate. And this guy didn't look either. He pulled up to pump 6, turned off the engine, but didn't get out right away. I waited. 1 minute, 2 minutes. Still nothing. I leaned closer to the screen, squinting, trying to make out his face through the windshield, but the interior was too dark. Then, the driver's side door opened. Out stepped a man in a long gray coat, older, maybe in his 50s, bald, tall, with pale skin that almost glowed under the gas station lights. I expected him to walk to the pump, but instead, he just stood there, facing the store, not moving, not blinking, just standing. I got this weird chill across my arms, like the kind you get when someone is staring at you for too long, even when you can prove it. So I looked out the main window, and sure enough, he was looking directly at me. I smiled, nodded, gave a small wave, just being polite. He didn't react, not even a twitch, and he started walking, slowly, straight toward the door. At this point, Every instinct in me said something was off. It wasn't that he looked threatening. He didn't have a weapon. He wasn't yelling or anything. But there was something unnatural about the way he moved. Too fluid. Too silent. The automatic door slid open, and the bell above it let out the usual cheerful ding. But it didn't make me feel better. He walked in and stopped exactly 5 feet from the counter. Didn't look at the snacks. Didn't check the coolers. He just stared at me. His eyes? They didn't blink. Not once. I asked, "Can I help you, sir?" Nothing. He tilted his head slightly, then finally spoke, in this flat, emotionless voice. "Pump 6. You left it open." I frowned. I knew I hadn't. I always double-checked the pumps after every customer, and there hadn't been one for over an hour. Still, I glanced at the screen. Sure enough, Pump 6's nozzle was hanging out, like someone had pulled it and just let it dangle. I looked back at the man. He was smiling now, only his mouth didn't move. It was the kind of smile that wasn't made by muscles, but by the idea of smiling. Like he had studied humans and thought, this is what they do. I told him I'd go check, just to be safe. As I stepped out from behind the counter, his head turned to follow me, but his body didn't move. I walked outside. The air was colder now, way colder. I reached Pump 6, grabbed the nozzle, and slid it back into place. That's when I heard it, the bell above the door. I looked back toward the store. The man was gone, vanished. The door was still slowly sliding shut. I rushed inside, scanned every aisle. Empty. I checked the bathroom, storage, cooler, nothing. He had completely disappeared. But when I looked back at the monitor, the one above the counter that shows all the pumps, Pump 6 was lit up again. Fuel. Active. No car, no driver. Just the sound of gas flowing. And that's when I heard a whisper behind me. So close, I felt the breath on my ear. "You left it open." This story was sent to me by a woman named Tina, who said it happened when she was only 11 years old, growing up in a small, quiet house just outside Rochester, New York. According to her, it's the reason she still sleeps with the hallway light on, even as an adult. Let's hear Tina's story, told in her own words. I grew up in a pretty normal house. Nothing fancy, nothing old or haunted, just a 2-bedroom place my parents had rented when I was in grade school. We lived there for 5 years, and nothing ever felt strange or spooky, at least not until that one night. I remember it so clearly because I had a test the next day, and my mom had made me go to bed earlier than usual. I wasn't tired. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to count backwards from 100 to fall asleep, like she told me. And that's when I heard it. Laughter. Soft, high-pitched, like a little kid. But it wasn't coming from my room. It was coming from the hallway. At first, I thought it might be the TV. But then I remembered. Both my parents had gone to bed already, and they always turned everything off. The house was supposed to be dark and silent. I sat up in bed, heart already starting to race, and listened harder. The laugh came again. Only this time, it was closer, still soft, still high-pitched. But now I could hear it echo slightly, like it was bouncing off the walls right outside my door. I whispered, "Mom?" No answer. I slid out of bed, crept toward the door, and placed my ear gently against it. At first, nothing. And then, clear as day, I heard it. A voice. It wasn't laughing anymore. It was singing. No words, just a tuneless hum, like a child making up a song as they went. And then, my name. It said my name, not in a scream, not in a whisper. Just a calm, cheerful little sing-song voice. Tina. I jumped back from the door so fast I hit the dresser behind me. It knew my name. I was frozen, totally unsure what to do. Part of me wanted to scream for my parents. Another part A bigger part was terrified to make any noise at all. Then I heard the floorboards creak. Whatever it was moving. Down the hallway. Closer. I couldn't hear footsteps exactly, just the soft shift of weight on old wood. And then the sound stopped. Right outside my door. I stared at the doorknob. It didn't move, but I knew something was there. And then the laugh came again. But this time, it wasn't cheerful. It was slow, drawn out, wrong, like someone pretending to laugh, the sound but not the emotion. And then I heard it breathe. Just once. A sharp inhale, like it had sniffed the air. And then, once again, it said my name. But this time, it didn't sound like a child. It was deeper, raspy, like something old pretending to be young. Tina-yay. That was it. I bolted back to my bed and pulled the covers over my head. I stayed like that all night. Didn't move. Didn't sleep. In the morning, I told my mom. She said it was probably a dream. But when I went out into the hallway, I saw something. On the wall, just next to my bedroom door, were 4 long scratches. Thin, vertical, like claw marks. We moved 2 months later. I never slept with the lights off again.